Well, good morning, namaste, everybody. It's Doc Phineas. Welcome to Belmont Manor, and I would just like to thank all of you out there who followed my recent trips around the world for Travel Channel. I was computing the other day that I've literally traveled 35,789 miles in 3 months' time. And that's pretty much circling the globe. Our show was called Around the World in 80 Days, after the Jules Verne book that I so admire. It's actually where I got my name. Doc Phineas came from that movie. I was named after Phineas Fogg, who sort of, I guess people thought I was a lot like David Niven in that movie, and that was a great name for me in Steampunk Empire. And so I got that name, and it really stuck in television and movies and everything else that I'm doing. But I feel like I owe the public an explanation on who I am, who I really am. I suppose I'm a man of many names. You know, my birth name was Kenneth Kassler. And then when I was 17 years old, I became very, very attracted to yoga and Hinduism. And in those days, in the 1960s, there was a lot of searching going on among my generation to explore different kinds of religious traditions, to see what kind of truth might be there for us in a world filled with Vietnam War and so much internal conflicts and lots of social upheaval. There was very little peace. And I think that some people in my generation turned to drugs, and a lot of people in my generation turned to searching for truth philosophically. I was a student at Berkeley, and there was a lot of opportunity in the San Francisco Bay Area to study Asian religions because we're right there on the Pacific Rim. And there is a huge Asian community there, whether you wanted to study Buddhism or Hinduism, Jainism. And certainly at the University of California, Berkeley, there's an openness for students and encouragement for them to explore. So I became a vegetarian at 17, started doing yoga religiously every day. I had my own yoga teacher in San Francisco area. I was very extremely friendly with Sant Keshavadas, who was a big Indian yogi. And, I had hung out with Daya Mata from Self-Realization Fellowship, Paramhansa Yogananda, and all the people that came west, basically bringing a concept of yoga. And I thought, I found a great personal peace from my practice, from the way that I had changed my life. I was also a student pastor under the auspices of Dr. George L. Collins, who was a disciple of Mahatma Gandhi. So I was sort of getting hit on every side at Berkeley from people who were very, very prone to follow the Hindu path. One of my great teachers was Dr. Haridas Chowdhury, who wrote the book Integral Psychology. He was the founder of the California Cultural Integration Fellowship and the president of the California Institute of Asian Study. Dr. Chowdhury and I took together like glue. We just absolutely were the best of friends. And he encouraged me to take all of his classes and become a student teacher at CIAS in San Francisco, the California Institute of Asian Study, where I actually, at the age of 19, started teaching yoga to many people in San Francisco. I was their first yoga teacher, their yoga master. By the age of 19, I was already completely masterful in yoga. I was a dancer, so I took to it quite easily. I could stand on my head for hours and hours. I could do every single asana. And so ended up having a rather large following at 19. Many young people from all over the Bay Area came to see me. I was a youth pastor. I had a large church following. And I actually was doing a lot in theater in San Francisco I wrote the play East West, which was a huge hit on Broadway in San Francisco, Magic Reality. I wrote over 18 different plays and musicals that I was staging mostly on the concept of integral philosophy, like trying to find a place between East and West, and certainly embracing the concept that the worst thing that you can believe is my way is the only way. I believe that every way should be recognized and respected. So, with that being said, I was able to secure a Fulbright scholarship and headed off in 1970 on my first trip completely around the world. And I left my parents crying at the airport with one backpack, said goodbye to everybody, basically sold everything that I had because I wasn't sure how long it would take me to get back. And it was a long trip. It took me almost 7 years to return to the United States. I was traveling extensively throughout the world. From Polynesia, I went to Japan. I spent many months in a Japanese monastery, shaved my head as a Japanese monk, and was practicing zazen for 2.5 to 3 hours every single evening, sitting quietly. I learned a lot, could speak Japanese, Japanese calligraphy. From there, I headed off to Asia and was one of the first scholars from the United States ever admitted into communist China during the time of Mao Zedong. And I was told that if I spoke against the government, they had a tree where human beings were hanging from this tree. So I had to learn to be very, very quiet about who I was, just do my work, and go to various Buddhist sites that I was studying, various archaeological sites that I was working on for the United Nations. UNESCO sent me on to Thailand. In Thailand, I was a, um, a guest of the royal family of Thailand. Prince Kresing, who is the brother of Queen Sirikit, was my very, very dear friend. So I lived in the palace, and the prince and I spent many, many hours. He was very interested in archaeology and very, very supportive of what I was doing in Ayutthaya and all the way up to Chiang Mai and Chiang Rai. I worked in Thailand for many, many months, almost an entire year. And then from there, I went on to Sri Lanka. And in Sri Lanka, I was with the Narada Mahatera, who's the head of all Sri Lankan Buddhism, of Theravadan Buddhism. I once again went into Buddhist monasteries, and I was basically studying Buddhism from the inside out, which is called phenomenology. It was a concept for intellectual inquiry advanced by the great German scholar Husserl. So Husserl basically said, if you're going to study a country, you're going to study anthropology, archaeology, you need to study it from the inside out. Don't sit there like Margaret Mead and Gorillas in the Mist and make notes. You go in and you become that culture. You become those people. So when I finally made it to India by ferry boat to Trichirappalli from Colombo, I was greeted by His Royal Highness, the Maharaja of Chennai, who was very fond of my work. And he sponsored me into India. I had a beautiful home in IDR, which is right next to his palace, was in the royal court. And he sent me to Srimati Rukmini Devi, who was the head of Kalakshetra in Madras. And I learned basically mudras, South Indian dance, yoga, and Qigong. And so I became an absolute master of all these things, including South Indian classical dance, which is called Bharatanatyam, and danced many times in the royal court, many of the roles, the mythology of India. A lot of times I played the god Rama, I played Krishna, I played Hanuman, I played Lord Brahma, and that was quite remarkable. I was the first man from the West ever to learn to be an absolute South Indian Tamil Bharatanatyam dancer. And I still perform that dance today in my 70s. So it really prepared me, I think, for a long life of being very healthy, staying on the yogic path, and really, really became hugely, hugely merged into what we call the Sanatana Dharma. There is no such word as Hindu in India. It's a misnomer. This is what people in Persia called Indians. Anybody that was south of the Indus River became Hindu. But for Hindus, the name of the religion is called Sanatana Dharma. It means the eternal truth. And the eternal truth in India has always been that everyone's way is right. They accept and love everybody. So my own guru, Srimati Anandamoyi Ma, when she was approached by Mother Teresa of Calcutta, and Mother Teresa said, I love your vibration so much. You're such a peaceful person. You're such a remarkable, remarkable person. I would become your follower, but you're not Catholic. And my guru turned to her and said, but I am Catholic. I'm Buddhist. I'm Jewish. I'm whatever you require me to be. And that was the position of the Hindu religion, is that every single truth is accepted, just like Jesus said, in my Father's house there's many mansions. In Hinduism, there's many, many mansions, many ways to the truth, many gods. Every pathway was accepted. And of course, Jesus Christ sent St. Thomas to India in 32 AD. So I always was having to inform American missionaries. You know, India's had Christianity since 32 AD, and there's many Thomasinian Christians in India. And plus, Lord Jesus is in all of our temples. He's accepted also as a spiritual master and a pathway. So in India literally accepts every single truth, every single pathway to God. And I found that so utterly refreshing, that we honor, accept, love everybody. And in India, you know, we're just simply searching for a pathway that works for you, for a truth that works for you, so that you can develop yoga. And yoga, the word yoga comes from the Sanskrit word yuj, which means to tie or to connect yourself to the truth. And the truth is your relationship with your higher power, however you conceive of that. So yoga itself is not a religion, but it is a pathway to health, to well-being, to balance, to bringing the three gunas as a reality into your life. So the three gunas are rajas, sattvas, and tamas. And rajas is when you're overly active and agitated. And tamas is when you have no energy and you can't even get out of bed. You have chronic fatigue syndrome. And sattvas is that perfect place in between these extremes of good living, being able to wake up every day. I woke up today at 5 a.m. like I do every day and started my yoga and qigong practice. Then I do devotional singing, I do some devotional dancing, and I work on my vibe board. And so that's why I'm enjoying such great health. And I'm almost 75 years old. I don't look like it, I don't feel like it, I feel like I'm 21. And the only thing that I can explain, my friends, that has saved my life and made me feel this way, when the rest of my friends my age, most of them are on walkers, a lot of them already in rest homes, even some of my friends have dementia and they can't really function. I have one very dear friend who cannot even walk from her bedroom to her bathroom anymore. And yet we went dancing every day when we were in college together. It's so sad for me to see that many people, especially in my own culture, aren't doing so well as they age. And it shouldn't be that way. And I think the only reason why it's that way here, and I've just come from India, so I've been throughout India, meeting people, interviewing people, and I've met many yogis by the banks of the Ganges, and I'm asking them, how long have you been here? Oh, Swamiji, I've been here 70 years. 70 years you've been sitting here on the banks of the Ganges? And the guy looked gorgeous, and he looked like he was 30 years old. And I said, how old are you? Well, Swami, I'm pretty sure I'm 94 years old. I saw a guy, 94, sitting on the banks of the Ganges who looked like he was 30 years old. So my next question was, what is your diet? Because I want to tell my students in America how this guy can look like that at 94. And he said, it's so simple, really. I have a little bit of cream of wheat in the morning. I take some berries from the forest. I go out and pick my own strawberries, my own raspberries, my own blueberries. And things in India are growing naturally in the Himalayas with no GMOs, of course, none of the things that we do to our food in America. It's really natural food. And then he said, I fix some kale, I fix some spinach. I drink water that comes from almost like a spring near the source of the Ganges. I was just recently there. There's a beautiful waterfall just coming out literally of the snow wall. And people are there getting pots of water from that water that's just like mineral water. It's glacier water falling, and that's what they drink. My goodness. Think of the minerals that they're getting naturally and eating leaves out of the forest like kale, spinach, rugula, and then also picking their own berries, blueberries, strawberries, blackberries, eating bananas that come off trees, and just staying such a simple, natural way of eating and staying healthy. My goodness, you should see their skin. They have no wrinkles. They look beautiful. They're not aging, and they're very, very old. I mean, some people I have met in India were extremely old. I won't even tell you how old they claim to be because you wouldn't believe me and you would be very shocked. And yet those people had abs. They looked like they work out in the gym every day. They had bodies that were glowing, just glowing with health. So when I seen these things in over 20 trips to India, I became a believer. I couldn't help but become a believer because I saw these tremendous people that were so smart, so on point as they grow older, so healthy and so happy, enjoying a beautiful, wonderful life as they age. So I really felt like from the time I was in my 20s that part of my job, and then this is probably an Aquarian thing, was to bring the light that I experienced in India and in Asia home to people. And that's why when I came back, I wrote my master's on the Vastu Vidya Shastra and translating it from Sanskrit. One of the first people to ever discuss in the West the processes of Indian feng shui, how to make your house harmonious, how to bring peace into your life and peace into your home. And the pursuit of peace and happiness became very paramount in my life, where I thought, if I can become a peaceful person in such a toxic, congested, and unhappy world, then at least the world would have one more peaceful person. And maybe rather than teaching and telling, I could just show people how to do it. So I know a lot of people know me as that crazy guy out there on Pawn Stars on the History Channel. I do all of the appraisals of Indian antiquities. Well, now you know why. Because I spent so long in India as an archaeologist. I know it like the back of my hand. You can't fool me. As Rick says, nobody can get past Phineas, right? And I also think a lot of people know me as a steampunk. I was very interested in the British Raj. So my approach to being a steampunk was someone who is friends, actually, with the Raj in India, the Maharaja of Jodhpur. I just come from staying in his palace. He's been my friend for 50 years. I'm friends with Maharajas. Maharaja, the Maharana of Udaipur, the Maharaja of Jaipur, the Maharaja of Kuch Bihar, the Raisa of Bhagwanpur. All of these people, these royal people, became my friend in India, and I taught yoga to many of them, helped many of them with their health, and they respected me. Even I heard today from His Royal Highness, and he said, "We're missing you at Jodhpur Palace. Thank you for all the joy and love you brought to the palace, to my staff. Everybody here is still talking about you." And believe me, that doesn't happen in India with a foreign person. That's a very rare thing that can occur when somebody has so submerged themselves into culture that they become special and one. And to them, they look at me as being Indian. They see how I live in America. They go, "You live in India and America," and I really do. My house is just like an Indian Haveli, like in Jaisalmer. If you traveled India and you looked at my house and compared to what you would find in a small palace, that's exactly the kind of lifestyle that I have. And I know it's probably confusing for a lot of people. Okay, what is your real name? Is it Kenneth? Is it Doc Phineas? And my guru initiated me. When you take initiation in India, they give you a new name. And what that means is the name that they give you, your karma stops. Your guru takes all of your karma and helps you along spiritually, taking away a lot of the burdens that you came into life with and gives you a new name. So my guru was Sri Sri Anandamoyi Ma. She was the guru of Mahatma Gandhi, the guru of Indira Gandhi, the guru of Jawaharlal Nehru and Kamala Nehru, and so many important people in the development of India in politically. Also, she was the guru of 90 million people in India. And though people in America really don't know much about her, Paramhansa Yogananda did write about her in an autobiography of a yogi. If you look at the chapter Joy Permeated Mother, that was my guru. And I met her in the early 1970s and basically went back and stayed with her and visited with her and took instruction from her until she left her body at the age of 87 in 1982. This time, I went back to her tomb where her body is placed, and the energy is still the same. It's just massive, like she's still sitting there, and as you sit there, you achieve a sense of peace, almost like cosmic consciousness. When Ma met me, she said, "You are an old Swami, so I'm going to make you a Swami again." And she initiated me as Swami Ramananda Giri Maharaj. So that is a very high priest in the Hindu religion. And I was trained to be a pujari. That's a priest who does ritual in the temple. I was adopted as a Brahmin, and I have pretty much stayed my whole life brahmacharya, according to the principles of being a Brahmin in India and being a priest in the Hindu religion. So you can see in life I've ended up wearing a lot of hats. I'm not only just a college professor, I'm an archaeologist, a lot like Indiana Jones. Even in India, I went to Sas Bahur temple that we have just found in the jungles near Udaipur, helping to chop the temple out of the jungle and make it presentable so that the public can see this gorgeous Chandela dynasty. 4 temples that are more beautiful than anything you've ever seen in any movie in Hollywood. And they were completely covered by jungle. And so I kind of see that as part of my job, which is I go around the world. I was just at the pyramids of Uxmal, Labna, Campeche, in central Mexico, in southern Mexico, and Guatemala, Honduras. And my whole job there, I see as once again going in, finding these fabulous pyramids, these amazing edifices that tell a huge story about history. And for my students, bringing them out of the jungle, making it available so that people can actually go there and see these remarkable things of the past. That's the true job of an archaeologist. It's not just sitting in an air-conditioned trailer with a drone. That never has been my pathway. My pathway is climb in and find the treasures. And so I've been curating to museums for these past 55 years, teaching archaeology, comparative religion, Sanatana Dharma, Sankhya philosophy, all of these things I've been teaching for over 55 years at the college level, not only at the University of California, Berkeley, but now I continue in my retirement to make appearances and as a guest professor at the University of Nevada. And I'm also on television right now, 8 television shows as an expert on history, discovery, and travel. And I'm preparing to star in the new movie Out of Darkness at Warner Brothers as soon as this strike's over. In India, I'm well known for a lot of my roles in Bollywood, and I was in a lot of Bollywood movies because I'm conversant in both Hindi and Tamil. So I can sing in Hindi, sing in Tamil, dance, do Bollywood dancing, Kuchipudi, Kathak, Bharatanatyam, all of those dance forms. And I was in the movie Roti Kapran Aur Makan with Sashi Kapoor and became a huge star in India. And then I am also in the entire television series Tiger of Malaysia with Kabir Bedi. And that was the first color television show ever in the world. And first in Europe and India, and then, of course, the United States, and then also starred in the Samarkand movies as the ancient Maharaja in those movies. Even His Royal Highness said to me he likes to watch that movie because I remind him so much of his father. So it's quite amazing how I was able to just morph into that culture and literally speak. This time when I'm speaking Hindi in India, they totally understand me. Aap yahan se seedhe jayenge. You know, they're listening to me and they're like, my God, your Hindi is so good. Yet I never studied Hindi at school. I literally picked it up just traveling in India off the street. And I probably speak Hindi like a rickshawala, but I am very pleased that I have been featured in many movies in India. I suppose I'm a bit of a minor Bollywood star, and now I'm getting ready to make a major, major motion picture here at Warner Brothers. It'll be my 61st movie over these past 60 years that I've been acting. So it's been an amazing life, just an amazing life. And for a lot of you, it probably seems like the dance of a monkey all over the place, you know, because what is this guy? Is he a yogi? Is he a steampunk? Is he a star on the Las Vegas Strip? Is he a movie star? Is he a college professor? What is he? He just seems to be everything. And I asked my guru about that. Why does this life have such breadth like that? I really don't understand. And my guru said to me, Swami, you've had 118 lifetimes as a Swami. Many times you've just continued to come back. You're one of the most ancient souls on this planet. And when you have so many past lives, you know how to do so many things. That's why you can sing, play piano, dance, play violin, paint, all of these things that you do, and you do them well. And she said that is a sign of an old soul that comes back to earth, usually as a teacher, to help young people find a way for happiness, find a way, find their truth in life, find the thing that will be their contribution to our planet. And she said that's always why you've come to earth, and that's why you're here now. Whether you take the persona of a steampunk, whether you're a Swami teaching yoga, whether you're a college professor, or whether you look like Indiana Jones, you know, traipsing through some temple, or you're on television in some movie. These are all things that you bring to Earth and bring to planet Earth. And you just have to be strong and embrace them all. Don't try to just be one thing, be everything. So that's sort of been the story of my life for all of you people out there trying to figure out, you know, what is this guy doing? He just seems to be all over the place. Thank God I have a wonderful partner like Harry who just accepts me the way I am, and he's always just trying to be supportive to me because I have so many obligations in life. I just flew in 30 hours from India. I've just traveled over 30,000 miles around the world filming so many different shows, and I didn't even have one day to rest. I literally was on television the next day after arriving here on NBC on Today Show. And as you know, I am teaching yoga both this weekend as a benefit to the lion habitat, saving and rescuing beautiful animals. Here in Las Vegas, we have over 30 lions, beautiful, fantastic giraffe, Aussie, so many birds, cockatoos, macaws, ostriches, ewu, so many wonderful animals are there that we've rescued. And I'm teaching yoga to raise money for the feeding of these animals. In India, I started an orphanage in 1972, and it's still going today, where I basically feed 600 children a day. These are the kinds of things that I have done with my life in trying to just make a difference on earth. And at the end of the day, the most important thing that I've really tried to do is to make people happy. If I can put a smile on their face, doing funny movies I do, like Duds, which I'm so happy to say I just won the award the Herald Award in Hollywood as the #1 best movie at the Hollywood Film Festival. And that's a Harold Lloyd Award, very, very prestigious. We won 2. I also wrote that movie, so I won for best screenplay. And so I thought if duds would make people happy, they could enjoy that story. That was a story that came from my heart. And I play a homeless man who becomes a very famous guy. Um, I also am very, very much a stickler on teaching yoga and showing people a pathway to stay healthy while they're on earth. And I'm also very, very strongly trying to just be a peaceful person. And people that are around me, hopefully they can find this peace that I found sitting so many hours on the Ganges River, high up in the Himalayas, near Uttarkashi, Gangotri, Kedarnath. I just recently came from such a retreat in the Himalayas. Nobody was there. I was by myself sitting on a rock and just the Ganges flowing around me. I felt like while I was there that a great and lasting peace came into me. And it was my ardent prayer that if I came back to Las Vegas, I could bring that peace with me. And every person who came near me would feel that power, that strength of connection with your higher power, and would have a healing in a world where there's so much anxiety, such a pandemic, so many sick people, so much pain. I thought the main thing I could do would be to try to bring the peace. And so I wanted to share with you all today my life. This is basically it. I hope all of you can come out and do some yoga with me today at the Lion Habitat Ranch and help support our beautiful animals. And wherever I'm teaching yoga or signing my books, come and meet me and let's talk about your life and how to find health, peace, and happiness. Namaste. Thank you so much for following me here in social media and for your time. Much love from me.